Do we have any other clips that we should get to?
Do we want to do the Yang one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
God, this was amazing. So Andrew Yang is out there trying to sell like the latest iteration of no labels, right? I mean, that's what this is. He's trying to sell the latest iteration of no labels, which is the billionaire funded Joe Lieberman party. And they call it the Forward Party. What does the Forward Party mean? In other words, what does it stand for? Well, if you have to ask that question, you're just not getting it because it stands for forward things. Here is Jim Acosta sort of trying to wrestle with that idea.
On both sides,
but you're going to have to come up with policy
really
positions.
Negative results.
Right,
we
but
just
Andrew,
need a better system.
Yeah, but Andrew, you're going to have policy positions at some point. How does the Forward Party feel about Roe versus Wade? Should it have been overturned?
Well, I personally think that women's reproductive rights are fundamental human rights. But the Forward Party has not left or right, but forward stance on even the most divisive and contentious issues.
Well, what does that mean? Don't you have to take a position on something? Don't you have to take a position on something? You can't just say, well, this is a hot button issue, so I'm not going to take a position on it. You know, if you want to run the country, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, Andrew.
Again, the Forward Party is about that common sense consensus majority view, which is very clear on abortion.
Pause it for one second. Let's just be clear. The Forward Party is about the common sense consensus view. So just, Matt, you got your master's in literature, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Okay. So help me out here. Common sense is now a qualifier for consensus. When he says that, right? The common sense consensus party.
Right.
So it starts with consensus. To the extent that there's a consensus on something, and he keeps citing like polling, so that would be polling, right?
Yeah.
So expansion of Social Security, I think you could probably find even people who majority of public wants, let's say, single payer health insurance. I would imagine if you said like we're going to have consistent pricing in our energy, including gas, and the way to do that is to nationalize everything. I have a feeling you'd get a majority on that too. So that's the consensus part. But then you apply the common sense part, right? Because that qualifies the consensus. So it could be consensus, but then it has to go through the common sense filter. Who has the common sense filter? Well, of course, the people at the Forward Party. Yeah. They have the common sense determinator.
Which is difficult because they had a bunch of like a couple right-wing groups join the Forward Party to keep them marching forward. But that's why I think Yang says, well, my personal opinion is this. Well, that's not the point when you're leading a supposedly political party. Like, what's the
Who
the
cares
position
what your personal?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you tell me what your mom thinks?
What's your favorite
Who
color?
cares? Exactly. But here he is. This is the problem with this guy. Is such a charlatan. It's unbelievable.
I mean, don't you have to take a position on something? Don't you have to take a position on something? You can't just say, well, this is a hot button issue, so I'm not going to take a position on it. You know, if you want to run the country, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, Andrew.
Again, the Forward Party is about that common sense consensus majority view, which is very clear on abortion. It's clear.
What about guns? What about assault weapons?
On climate change. It's actually clear on just about every issue under the sun.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Because of the nature of our system.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Again, the common sense consensus majority is that there should be some rules around background checks and access to firearms. But we're not getting any of these things, Jim, because the two-party system does not need to deliver.
But it doesn't sound like you're taking any hard positions. It sounds like you're
trade power.
It sounds like you're sort of a fill-in-the-blank party. If somebody wants a party with no clear policy positions, you're it. But unfortunately, in the real world, you have to take a position on something.
Well, we're for the common sense consensus.
You know, here's what's sort of frustrating about this. Like, I appreciate that, Acosta is saying, like, are you really going to run on this sort of like, we're just going to poll We're just going to take a poll, and that's going to be our position as long as we put it through our common sense filter. That is BS. But the real question to ask Yang in this instance is, why isn't what the majority of the country wants? Like, why is it that, as Martin Gillens and I can't remember who else did that study at Princeton, found that when there is a contentious bill on the floor or not, that money wins. Why is that? That would be the question to ask this multimillionaire. They will say that it's because of left and right infighting and blah, blah, blah. Well, how are you going to get past that? It's such a joke. It's such a joke. This is the no labels. This is the blue dog Democrats. It's the third way they've called themselves. It's the DLC. Maybe different names. They've been, different corporate structure, slightly different people, but it's all the same. It's all the same. This is just absurd. It's just absurd.
Yeah, I mean, their website says free people. They want to revitalize the culture that celebrates difference and individual choice, rejects hate, removes barriers so that each of us can rise to our full potential, thrive in communities, reinvigorates a fair, flourishing economy and open society where everyone can live a good life and is safe in the places where they live, work, and learn, and reform our republic to give Americans more choices in elections, more confidence in the government that works, and more say in our future. So a lot of specific stuff there.
I mean, I feel like, honestly, like Tony like an invite to a Tony Robbins seminar gives you more insight into like the way the world should be than what they're saying.
Also, like, if you're like the fundamental criticism, like you say, like, is that one party's too far right and the other party's too far left, which is a mistaken analysis.
A completely mistaken analysis. You know what I feel like they're not doing is they're not risking the possibility of a new kind of imagination.
Risk the imagination of a new kind of possibility, yeah.
They're not risking the imagination of a new kind of possibility. Did I say that right?
And maybe we need a solution to it that risks the imagination of a new kind of possibility.
Yeah, there we go. Here it is again.
Bingo. Bingo.